So red and near infrared light is available to us when the sun rises and the sun sets. Like when you see that beautiful sunrise and you see that orange, deep red color, that's red and near infrared light. And same when the sun sets, that's that golden hour, right? So that's when the light from the sun is at the right wavelengths to penetrate the skin and activate the mitochondria. Mitochondria, when you give mitochondria energy, it's able to do its job. It's able to heal, circulate blood, right? And if you're empowering your cells on a mitochondria level to have energy, that's everything.
Welcome to the Radical Health Rebel podcast. I'm your host, Lee Brandon. This work started for me several decades ago when I started to see the impact I could make on people, helping them to identify the root cause of their health problems that no doctor could figure out, including serious back, knee, shoulder and neck injuries, acne and eczema issues, severe gut health problems, even helping couples get pregnant after several IVF treatments had failed. And it really moves me to be able to help people in this way. And that is why I do what I do and why we have this show. In this episode, I spoke with John Graham, whose personal journey through training and competitions exposed him to injuries, fueling his quest to optimize injury and prevention and recovery methods. During this pursuit, John discovered the remarkable benefits of red light therapy whilst recovering from a knee injury. This led to the creation of a red light therapy product, providing convenient and efficient red light therapy treatment for individuals and athletes to aid recovery and reduce pain. Red light therapy was something that I'd heard a lot about, but hadn't dug much into the research behind it. So I was really looking forward to learning all about the benefits of red light therapy, especially with regards to pain reduction. John Graham, welcome to the Radical Health Rebel podcast. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate this.
Yeah.
Get accessing your platform to share. It's very, very appreciated.
Yeah, and I'm quite intrigued because I know, I've heard a lot about red light therapy, but I must admit I haven't done a lot of research myself. So this is going to be hopefully a nice educational session for myself as well as some of the listeners.
Excellent. Yes, that's great.
So John, to kick things off, could you share with the audience an overview of your own journey, your athletic history, how and why you became involved in the fitness industry, and how you became involved in red light therapy?
Yeah, it's a very, very long story. I'm sure we have time, but not that much time. Lots of ups and downs for sure. I think all in all, at the end, what you really appreciate is the struggles that you've gone through, because they pretty much define you and they bring you to the position that you're in right now, right? So, but yeah, so at the end, there's been a lot of tough times, and now I sort of, I rework it in my brain and I see them as really great successes. But I always had a strong desire in fitness. I was a very thin kid, right? So I was thin, very, very unconfident. And going to the gym, helped me gain that confidence. You start to put muscle on. It's like you start to put armor on the little teddy bear that's insecure, right? This is something that I'm sure if you deep dive into it, a lot of the bodybuilders and people that are very, very large inside, that they're very fragile. I was very much like that. And I was so empowered by going to the gym and working out and getting this confidence that I wanted to share this. I'm a very emotionally driven, I would say, looking back in my career. And I wanted to share this feeling that you get, this confidence boost you get by going to the gym. So I went into personal training. I did quite well in personal training. I got into golf fitness. And then I got recommended to, work with tour players. I actually had a segment on the Golf Channel where I would teach golf fitness on the Golf Channel. I would travel all over the world with golf players, and attend some pretty big events. I met like pretty much all the major golf pros. There was even at one point I was like, I was a bodyguard for Bubba Watson, wow. Which was because I was a larger built person. I believe that inside the inner circle of golf pros, they wanted someone to sort of protect him because he had a lot of fans, and they were just like, "Oh, John, he's a big guy, he can do it." Funny story, but I got in. But working with people and training them and inspiring them and sort of communicating, sort of transmitting this feeling that you get of confidence over to them, I got really, really inspired by it. And I wanted to have more impact. I wanted to be able to do things on a much larger scale. So I started opening gyms. And at the end, I opened, I think it was about 6 gyms, all of which were, purely passion-based business. I didn't know anything about running a business and numbers and, covering costs. It was just, I figured like you throw a bunch of energy into it and, as long as you're sincere, the business will work. But no, it doesn't work like that. You still need to pay your costs. So most of the gyms were very tough fails, things that I had to swallow. Then I got into technology, and I saw that as a better way to scale, to be able to, boost my impact, be able to impact more lives was through technology. And then, but actually with red light, how it all started was, I know for many people that are in sports, that do fitness, that are, in gym junkies, you could say, or fitness enthusiasts, your body is kind of like your means of purpose, right? It's kind of like you're defined about what your body can do. Not saying that that's a good, psychology to have, but it's just fitness people. That's sort of your measure of success, is what you are able to do with your body. And I remember I've gone through so many different injuries. I was boxing. I used to do amateur boxing. I got hit in the head, and which actually resulted over years. At least this was from the doctor. I actually had a tumor in my head, which I had to have evasive surgery from. I blew both my shoulders from playing rugby. But out of all the injuries, like even wrist injuries and ribs and whatnot, the injury that actually hurt me the most was my left knee, because you can't walk, right? And it was that chronic that pain that was like, it's inside. It's not like I can walk, but I'm hobbling. And every time I would sit down for longer than 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, it would really start to ache. And I would have to stretch the leg out. I would have to massage it, and I would have to try to get the blood circulating there, because the pain was sometimes really unbearable just from it being in a sitting position. So this was sort of my Achilles heel was my left knee. And my wife, she's Chinese. She was very much, she was the one that actually got me onto red light therapy. It was a funny story, because she bought this it was like a very ugly lamp. It was like sort of a desk looking lamp with a big weight at the bottom that you would move it around so it wouldn't fall over, and had a very large red light bulb, right? Very ugly, heavy, cumbersome thing, right? And she bought this, and she was like, "You have to put this on your knee. Trust me, it works," And I was like, this is, some Chinese, feng shui medicine. Like, okay. I was just to appease her. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I promise. So every night, she would set it up, and she would put the bulb on my knee, and it would really heat up, because, it was sort of very old school technology when it comes to red light therapy. It was like something that was created, like probably one of the first red light therapy devices that were ever made, right? It was very, very old, and it would get really hot. And I remember like saying like, "Oh, it's too hot. And I would have to keep moving my knee away. And it was this sort of game I would play where I would like, it would sort of cool down, and then I would put the knee up to the light again to try to get more of this therapy from, according to her, but then it would get hot again. And it was like, and I remember, it lasted, it was about 1 week, and I started to see a lot, like a big difference. And after 2 weeks, the main thing that really blew my mind was when I was sitting after 10, 15 minutes, normally when it would start to get painful, it wasn't getting painful. That was like where I really saw like, okay, something special is here, right? This is, I've never had this, something where I didn't have to put a pin or take a pill, it was just light. It blew my mind. Because especially when you would take a taxi or you would go on a plane, that's where it was just, I dreaded those times, because I would have to always find a way to stretch my leg out, right? So that's kind of where it all got started, where, I got interested in red light therapy, and look at where we are right now, right? We've got the LumaFlex Body Pro, which this took over 2 years to develop. And it was a device that red light therapy is everywhere already in the market. It's been around for years. Like you look at sometimes a YouTube video and it's 10 years old and it talks about red light therapy. You look at Andrew Herberman, Ben Greenfield, these guys that big biohackers, they've been talking about it for a long time, many years, right? It's been in beauty for at least over 10 years. NASA scientists used it to use it to grow plants in space, right? The first time I believe that red light therapy was used was 1903 by a doctor, I believe, to cure smallpox, and he won a Nobel Prize. Like, it's been around for a very, very long time, but it has been slow to gain traction, especially in the sports world, right? It's kind of gone into beauty. It's been in the medical field. Like, I know it's used for eyes, it's used for teeth. It's used for brain issues, right? There's amazing stories and stories that you will never forget about people with serious brain injuries that have been cured like in under 5 minutes, just with light therapy, light shining on these particular parts of the brain. But the fitness world has been sort of slow to catch up, and it has come, like in the recent years, it has come into the fitness world, but mostly for the elite pro athletes, right? Your Messis, your Michael Jordans, right? Your Tiger Woods. They've all been using it, but the way that they use it is they'll have like a red light therapy sauna or like a tanning bed, a large device that they go in, and they obviously having a larger device, having something where all your cells are getting energized, the feeling and the recovery benefits, like the pain management, is obviously very, very high, right? But I saw what was really missing was like a portable device for anybody, something that you could literally just throw in your gym bag. It's easy to charge, and you could get your red light therapy on the go instead of having to drive to a clinic and, pay a fee of like, say, $100. Like, I know in New York City, it's $100 for 45 minutes, right? So it's kind of it's a bit expensive. At least if you want the feedback of what red light therapy can do, consistent daily use is where you find it, right? Like, just with my knee, after a week, you start to see like, okay, your body starts to crave it because your cells are getting energy, right? The mitochondria is getting energized, and they're using this energy to heal you, right? And your brain, you sort of said these subliminal messages to your brains are like, yo, get your red light therapy. You start to get sort of addicted to it. And after 2 weeks, I think anybody who has done red light therapy day after day for 2 weeks would tell me if they miss a day, they feel it. They're like, oh, that was a rough day. I need to get back on my red light therapy. So yeah, like what came about, it all culminated to the LumaFlex Body Pro, something I'm passionate about, specifically targeting the fitness, the sports, the young athlete, the older senior athlete that still wants to play golf at 70 years old, the CrossFitter, the amateur boxer, right? It's something that's more tailored to them and helping them to manage pain, right? And the pain that they have from training or the pain that they have from, early days playing, sports. For me, it was those early days playing basketball. That's what I believe was where my knee came from. And then also like in the older athletes that still want to be active, right? Your grandpa, your mom, your dad, your grandmother, they have that chronic pain. They have that pain, that bad back, that bad neck, right? Or the wrist injury, right? And they want and there's no reason for this pain to exist in their lives. All they need is their cells need to be empowered with energy, with excess energy that they can use to heal, right? Then this is something that is on a mitochondria level, on a cellular level. This is how else can you do this, right? You need light is literally like that. It's a magic medicine. As crazy as it sounds, it is exactly like that. Like you hear stories of people that have had pains for years, and after one session, they're miraculously healed. And they're like, oh my God, why didn't my doctor ever tell me about this, right? Because it's free. It's light. It's something that, you can get. And go, specifically talking about red light. What is red light? So red and near infrared light is available to us when the sun rises and the sun sets. Like when you see that beautiful sunrise and you see that orange, deep red color, that's red and near infrared light. And same when the sun sets, that's that golden hour, right? So that's when the light from the sun is at the right wavelengths to penetrate the skin and activate the mitochondria. Mitochondria, when you give mitochondria energy, it's able to do its job. It's able to heal, circulate blood, right? And if you're empowering your cells on a mitochondria level to have energy, that's everything. That's what our whole bodies are about, right? That's giving your body energy to do anything, excess energy to be able to heal, right? If you've got that pain that you're just like, I can't fix this pain. right? On the cellular level, if it has energy to fix it, that's what the light gives you, right? So just finishing off about the actual LumaFlex Body Pro, this panel, this is a silicone panel. So, and again, it took, over 2 years to be able to develop this, and it's extremely durable. So as you can see, pulling the straps, we've done tests over 100 kgs worth of pressure. We've driven a truck over this and it doesn't break. And it's waterproof, right? It's something that when you buy it, yes, it can last you, a lifetime, right? You've got your battery pack, you long press, and then single press. And there is your red and near infrared light. And there are straps, a long strap and a short strap, and you're able to put this on all the different areas of your body. And the areas that are sore, right? Like say, for example, your lower back, you can add more attention. You can put, the time is set for 10 minutes. So usually what I do is if somebody says, oh, I've got a bad back or a bad shoulder or something, I say, go to 20 minutes, do 2 sessions of 10 minutes twice a day. After 2 weeks, tell me if that pain is still there, right? And not only is it obviously flexible, durable, it's waterproof. So it's something that you could actually, in a cold plunge or in when you're swimming in the pool, you can be under the water and be getting your red light therapy. So that's kind of like a long story. I attempted to make it short about where it all came to, but I'm obviously very, very passionate about getting this unit out. It's a class 2 FDA cleared product. So this is a medical device, right? But it's packaged and I'm trying to communicate this therapy, that is well known in the medical field, well known among biohackers, about human optimizers. I'm trying to communicate it to, fitness people that maybe don't have access to this sort of information. Maybe that, your average bodybuilder or CrossFitter, maybe if they're young or if they're old, they're not listening to, the latest trends or the, medical information that's coming out, but it is a medical product. It just really looks very fitness, it looks very fitnessy, doesn't it? But that is, it's my passion is to get this out, to get it in as many hands of, people that, still have a passion to train and they are suffering any kind of pain, joint pain, chronic pain, muscle pain, post-injury pain, right? They still have that injury that they've had, or, even, just talking about pain, there's so many different kinds of pain, and there's like on surface area pain, like say, for example, skin. That's where red light can greatly help. Infrared light, near infrared light, it can go down into the bones. But simply red light can heal what is going on in your skin. So that's why I know a lot of credible hospitals, if you've been into a car accident or you've had a serious fall and you've got deep wounds, usually they will subscribe some kind of red light therapy to help heal your wounds. Like, it's amazing how incredible it, I think that's actually in the early 1990s, that's how NASA scientists, kind of got triggered onto red light therapy, because the abrasions that they had on their hands were being healed when they were using red light therapy to try to grow plants. They were like, whoa, it's actually good for, this heals skin. So that's kind of, the long and the short, or the sort of the more long story of how it all came about. But the LumaFlex Body Pro is, something that we're only 4 months into our launch. And I'm hoping to, in a sense, I want to mainstream red light therapy. I want this to be accessible to anyone and everyone, no matter their background, or, how, sort of capable they are as an athlete, or as someone who just loves fitness, or is just an active person.
Yeah. So one thing that I would like to dig into a little bit deeper. So from what you've said so far, in terms of recovery and pain, the mechanism is that the red light stimulates the mitochondria in the cells. Is that?
Yes.
Do you know how it does that? What the mechanism is in terms of how the red light stimulates mitochondria?
It empowers the mitochondria. And this is just, the best I could say is that I think this is the way God made us, right? We are creatures of light, and we were born under the light, right? So, and that was our circadian rhythm. We would wake up when the sun would rise, and we would go to sleep when the sun would set. That was our circadian rhythm. That was how we were as cavemen, right? So it's interesting. Like, I guess that's just how God, we got our energy boost in the middle of the day, and then we had our cool down, our recovery, when it was time to go to bed. But the light doesn't heal you. The light empowers the cells to heal you, because it's cellular energy that you get. And this energy that you have, if you have excess energy, your body can then start healing things that are broken, issues and pains and aches and things that, that we, it's kind of become almost like, oh, you've got that bad knee. Oh, well, you're done. Sorry about that. It's like, there's this thinking like it's just what you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your life. But it doesn't have to be, and you don't have to be, smashing pills every day to, or painkillers or, or going to those means, right? Which obviously is a path that you can be quite dangerous. It's natural, it's non-invasive, and it's something that amazingly is so overlooked, right?
So would it be fair to say we know the red light stimulates the mitochondria, obviously increases energy within the cells, which of course is going to aid recovery. But would it be fair to say at this point we don't know exactly how that occurs?
Yeah, I mean, how that occurs? Like, I'm sure if an actual light scientist, like I have access to some of these guys, they could probably break down the whole, the actual system. But why? As far as I know, it's just like that's how we were made. There's so many. Why are we here as human beings, and where are we going when we die? Like some of those questions, I'm just like, we don't know those, right?
And that's not to say that it doesn't work because we don't understand the mechanism, right? There's loads of things that we don't understand, but we know that they work, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's probably just a matter of time. It's probably just a matter of time before someone says, I know how that happens, and they can explain it.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that like light therapy, right? The spectrums of light. There's thousands of clinical studies out there that support not just red and infrared light and the benefits that they provide, but other spectrums of light. But the reason why red and infrared light is talked about the most is because that's where there's been enough studies that the FDA has actually given it a stamp of approval, right? So if you're launching a product for whatever reason in the market for whatever industry or whatever, you do have to have red and infrared light because that's where you get the FDA approval. But the other spectrums of light can be inside the device, like especially for skin. Most skin masks that you have red and infrared light, so it is an FDA cleared product. But there's also other light. There's the blue light, right? There's green light. There's all the other lights as well. But there's no, as far as I know, there's no actual FDA approval on the other spectrums, just red and infrared. But all light, we've got, there's a lot of great data. I mean, can you imagine what's coming into the future and what we're going to discover with all the other spectrums of light and what they can do, right? Now it's mostly just red and infrared is where the conversations, where a lot of the topics are, right?
Well, of course, infrared saunas have been around for a very long time. I mean, and I have one, that's
excellent. You have one in your house.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's been around for a very long time, and we know the massive benefits in terms of detoxification using infrared, because it gets deep into the cells. It doesn't just go at skin level like a traditional kind of Scandinavian type sauna. We know it does get deep into the cellular level. John was a personal trainer and triathlete when he first came to see me, suffering from knee pain for which he'd received physiotherapy, which sadly hadn't proven to be successful. As someone who was passionate about his triathlon performance, John was at his wit's end about his knee, as it was preventing him from training properly. I performed a full assessment on John and gave him a corrective exercise program, and together we came up with a revised triathlon training plan in the short term, which included no running or cycling, plus some medium and long-term goals. John followed the program rigorously, and after 10 weeks, I reassessed John and upgraded his exercise program and added in some appropriate strength work in accordance with the progress that he'd made. Eventually, I gave John the all clear to start running and cycling again, and John slowly started to gain confidence in his knee and consequently increased his mileage, and was extremely pleased to find out that the knee pain not only went away, but never came back. In fact, in his first attempt after completing the rehab program, John managed to beat his 10K run time by 4 minutes. He put it down to feeling much more efficient in his running technique and having a much stronger core. John has gone on to complete many triathlons since all around the world, including Olympic and Ironman distances alongside world-class athletes. If you're in pain and it's preventing you from doing what you'd love to do, and you'd like to achieve great results like John, go to www.bodycheck.co.uk. That's bodychek.co.uk to request your consultation. Now, back to the podcast. So if someone wants to maximize the effects of red light therapy for recovery and injury prevention, what would you recommend in terms of how people use it?
Yeah, I mean, it's different to each person depending on what your injury is and, what exactly you're training or you're doing, what your practice is that, means that you do need recovery. Obviously, pro athletes are being paid to play sport, which means they have to train a lot. They have to train probably on a daily basis. If you're a football player, you've got practice, I think, twice a day almost, right? Then you've got games on the weekend, right? So they're active all the time. So for them, they're like for them, as far as recovery goes, they don't just have near red and infrared, that they've got everything. Like as a pro athlete, you have access to everything, right? Because your body is, that's how you're making money. So they're like, I know some athletes that have like 2-3 massages every single day, deep tissue, massages, right? But your average human being who's just going to the gym, trying to be healthy, trying to transform, either gain muscle, lose, burn fat, or however, whichever, they're trying to train, and they're trying to train enough to where they can stimulate some kind of change. And usually that the quicker that they want that change, whether it be like learning a skill like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or, basketball or transforming your body, the faster you want the change obviously means the intensity needs to be higher. And in order to maintain that intensity and keep the timeline short for the change means you need to recover, right? So usually with the LumaFlex Body Pro, what I always say, so it has a 10-minute built-in timer, which is kind of what I would recommend for all the major body parts, right? Your chest, your stomach, your shoulders, your arms, your back, your upper back, your neck, your thighs, hamstrings, all that. Try to get a 10-minute session on each body part in the first thing in the day, and then get it before you work out, get it after your workout, and then if you need it again, try it again before bed. But usually I think 3 times 10 minutes is enough. This is if you want to go God mode, like me, right? Like I use red light. I use this device. I've got 3 of them that I take with me whenever I travel. Like I'll be sitting on a plane, and I'll be glowing red. And I'll have everyone's like, is this okay? But yeah, if you want to go God mode, try to get as much as you can, right? Because once you feel you're getting better, you don't necessarily want to give up that feeling. You prefer just to keep doing sessions. But if you have that serious, bad shoulder or bad back, you got to do, I think, at least 20 minutes twice a day. But of course, it depends on the person, depends on their age, depends on the severity of the injury, right? But it doesn't hurt to do at least 2 times 20 minutes twice a day. And I've heard stories of it taking a week. I've heard of it taking 2 weeks. I've heard of it taking 2 hours or 3 days. Like everybody's different, and it all depends, because that's the beauty of the human race, is everybody's different, and we can all learn from each other. There's not one thing that works for everybody, right? So everyone on a cellular level, is different. So everyone's the way that their mitochondria react and are able to provide energy to be able to heal, it's different to every person. But what I always say with people, if you have a serious injury, and yes, this injury you need to get fixed, don't ever think that that's your life. That's it. I'm done. I got to retire. I'm just going to deal with it. Don't ever think that, right? Before going to pharmaceuticals, at least try something that's natural, right? At least try something that's non-invasive, right? Something that has, numerous studies out there that most credible doctors will absolutely encourage you to try, right? Before, going to the pharmacy and looking for remedies this way, right? That's kind of what I would encourage everyone to do. Why not try something that's natural? Can't overdose on light, right? You can't, unless it's the device like the lamp, like my missus got, where it can burn you. There's not really a risk. There's no risk. It's just all upside, right?
Yeah. So I play tennis. So I play tennis most weekends. So this time of year, I'm playing Saturday and Sunday. And if I'm not playing, I'll go and practice my serve for an hour. It can be pretty hard on your forearm extensions and can lead to tennis elbow. And because I've been practicing my serve a lot lately, I've got a little bit of tennis elbow. So again, it's pretty common in tennis players, right? Tennis elbow.
Yes. Yeah.
Golfer's elbow is probably just as common, if not more common. But I'm already doing everything else that I can possibly do. I train, optimally in the gym. I eat well. I get to bed on time. I have cold showers every day. I use the sauna twice a week. And what I'm kind of getting from you is it's like, once you've got all those things in place, if you're still in pain, then something like red light therapy is probably the go-to thing to add on to that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's where, from the story, like literally I had a story from a partner in Australia. There was a volleyball, a lady she's like a pro volleyball coach. So he says, I took the Pneumaflex. Okay, so this is actually a hospital management agent. It's actually a very, very big hospital management company. And he treated her for 20 minutes on her leg. 20 minutes on her leg. It is honestly the best it has been in a long time. I'm still in my flats. So she was wearing flat shoes, which would normally cause me a lot of pain by now. And it is completely relaxed. Oh, wow. Thanks so much. You treat me on the go, and it's just made such a difference. So yeah, my partner was just in this meeting he had with this big hospital firm that have locations everywhere that we're pushing the product into. The lady had this issue, and he was just like, 20 minutes, let's go. So what he would have done, because I know him, he's that guy. He's that aggressive sales guy. We're very similar like that. He would have just put it on her twice, right? And so she obviously, what I would see from that is, I would imagine that as a person who, she probably wouldn't be as active as you. She probably, like you, I think, would be a lot more active, right? You're a lot more healthy, right? So you're on, like, your biochemistry is a lot healthier. So for you probably would need more red light therapy treatments in order to get this same kind of response. Whereas with her, she's probably not as active. Maybe she doesn't eat as healthy as I would imagine you would. She isn't trying all the other things. So her cells are like, please give me something, right? So when the cells get that energy, it's like an explosion, right? Whereas with you, it probably would take a bit more time. You probably would have maybe a week before you would be like, oh, it's okay. There's something different there, right? And then by week 2, that's, at least for me, and I think because we're both very, fit, and we're healthy eaters, we're active lifestyle. After about week 2, you get like, okay, I feel incredible. Wow. You know what I mean? And then you get that addictive thing where you're like, I need to have this, all the time. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of thinking my own situation, and what I normally do when I get back from tennis, I have a contrast shower. So I'm going ice cold, hot as I can handle, ice cold, hot, ice cold. And then I come out, I foam roll all the major muscles that I've worked out. I stretch. Obviously, there's some nutrition and hydration comes in there as well. And then, generally speaking, the next day I feel completely fine, right?
Yeah.
If I don't do any of that, I feel really stiff the next day. But now what I'm thinking is, what I could potentially add to that would be, I'm thinking at the moment, I could probably do with some of that on my forearm extensors, maybe my elbow itself. And actually my right shoulder as well. I'm practicing a lot of kick serves, which means you actually get your shoulder in a lot more of a, externally rotated position.
Mm.
If I could add that as well, and even if, let's say I didn't have, it's minor, it's very minor tennis elbow, but, obviously I work on the forearm extensors as well. I'm a manual therapist. I can work on myself, but that all helps, especially if I do it in the sauna when I'm really hot as well. That really helps. But I'm just thinking, even if my elbow's fine, my shoulder's fine, when your legs take quite a battering when you're playing tennis. And I'm just thinking, I could be sitting there watching TV, relaxing in the evening, and I could just have those on me, maybe two different positions on my quads, swap it over to the other quad,
That's it.
hamstring, calf.
Exactly.
I can sit.
Exactly. You said it right there. That's it. It's nice. It's nice when someone says it back to you for a change. you know?
I'm all about maximizing everything, right? Maximizing recovery, maximizing performance, maximizing health. And
that's it.
I don't know if you know who Paul Chek is. I don't know if you come across Paul Chek.
Paul Chek, the name sounds very, very familiar.
Yeah, so he's had guys like Ben Greenfield on his podcast talking about biohacking, and Paul's like, I really don't like the term biohacking, because biohacking sounds like you're doing shortcuts.
Okay.
I like the word bioharmonizing rather than
very
biohacking.
Nice.
Because, again, from what you're saying is red light therapy, it's very natural because it's what we get from the sun anyway, right?
That's right.
Concentrated form of one particular type of the light that we get from the sun.
That's right. Yes.
So
that's right.
It sounds to me like, red light therapy could be a good form of bioharmonizing. And
that's it.
If you're doing all the other stuff, if you're doing, if you're getting to bed on time, you're getting your recovery in, you're eating, good diet, getting your hydration in, potentially, cold therapy, hot therapy, good exercise. So, making sure you're optimizing your posture, your core stability, depending on your sport, strength, etc. Then this could be a nice little add-on to aid recovery and ultimately improve performance.
That's right. Yeah, the performance part is something that, although in the laboratory, it's been proven, as numerous clinical studies about how it actually, it boosts your performance. You can lift heavier, you can run faster, right? You can play for longer. It's something that the average person, the average customer who has the red light therapy device, it's hard for them to kind of test it themselves, because there's all these other things that go off in their head, right? Like, what time did I have coffee? Did I sleep well last night? Or did I go out for a drink the night before? Or there's all these other variables that it's hard for them in their mind to clearly see, like, oh yes, I did do better this training session or this, time I practiced my sport compared to last time. It's very, very difficult. It's easier for them to see the pain part, right? The recovery, the pain management, right? That's something that is in the average person's head it triggers very, very easily, right? But then also, like, all the other benefits that red and infrared light therapy, it's everything from like testosterone boosting. I think Ben Greenfield did this big study on that, right? Where he proved it significantly increases testosterone. It de-stresses you. It helps you sleep, right? It's great for skin. Like my wife uses it when she has her period pains, right? She puts it on her stomach. And it just helps circulate, right? I use it after I've had like a large meal. If you have like a big meal with a bunch of friends and family, and it includes like a lot of fatty foods, it includes desserts and drinks, and you got the gurgles, I find it just helps by having it on the stomach, just helps your digestion, because it's just blood circulation, right? You're helping your digesting. But I find, like, when it comes to really getting interest into, what is that? Like, what really, the stories that come out and catch people's interest are always about pain, or always about somebody recovering, or, being able to, like, one was, my partner who builds like all these red light therapy products. His grandfather had a stroke, which significantly, hurt his brain. And, but yeah, he was building products, and he basically built a product for a client of his, and the client ended up saying, this was after a year, I'm butchering the story, but it was basically after a year of his grandfather having a stroke, that was the time when the client he was building a red light therapy product for said, "Hey, I see your grandfather has had a stroke. Can I use this on him?" And after 5 minutes of putting it on his brain, they gave like a Coca-Cola can to the grandfather, and he was able to crush it. Whereas before, he couldn't even move his hands. He wasn't able to write or anything. So I hear stories like this every single day when it comes about brain, long-term illness, long-term brain illness, right? Long-term, and also long-term pain, right? I hear a lot of the amazing feedback there. And that's kind of where I try to keep the story there, because that always is what gets people interested. And then when you're on red light therapy, and once you have a device and you're using it, then you can sort of like, oh, wow, it can do all these other amazing things, right? That's kind of, but it's sort of where I feel that really it'll take off, and where it'll have the most uptake, the most adoption will be in pain, right? In relieving serious, long-term pain.
Yeah, one of the types of injuries, again, it's kind of springing to mind as well, is, I get people that come to me and they've just literally got no cartilage in their knee. It's bone on bone.
Wow.
And there's only so much you can do with someone that gets to that level, right? So I'm thinking, potentially that might be again, I don't know, but that might be a potential solution for people like that have got that type of injury. But then again, right. I do know other people that don't have cartilage in their knee when they don't have any pain.
Yeah. Amazing, right? How different everybody is, right? And because it's hard to have that one conform, that one story like this. It's just, I always whenever I have somebody to use a unit, I'm just like, I say, aim it at the pain and let's talk in 1 week. Every day, aim it at the pain, use it every day, and let's talk in 1 week. And if by then they're like, oh, I still don't feel it, I say, let's do one more week then. I'm just like, you're going to have to just use it, and then we're going to have to talk later,
As a semi-professional rugby player, Billy had suffered from recurring injuries for the previous 3 years before coming to see me. He'd been suffering from a sharp pain, swelling and tightness in the top of his right leg. It was especially bad when drop kicking and punting. He tried sports massage and stretching, which had brought about some short-term relief. However, when playing rugby, the pain always returned. He also suffered from sharp pain in both groins, which restricted his movements. The pain was worsened by kicking and changing direction at speed, and as a fly half, kicking and changing direction was an essential part of Billy's game. Acupuncture and sports massage had some benefit, but still felt tight afterwards. All the above injuries meant that he could only play 3 matches in a row before he had to take 3 to 4 weeks out to recover. This was very frustrating for Billy. Billy came to see me to help condition him during the off-season so he would be ready for the upcoming season, even though he wasn't very confident that anyone could help him get rid of these injuries. I had a very limited time to help Billy, but over the 8-week off-season, after thorough assessments, I gave Billy a corrective exercise program for the first 4 weeks and a strength and power program for the second 4 weeks prior to his pre-season training. Over halfway through the season, Billy reported that he is yet to get injured. In fact, he was kicking better and further than ever. He was running quicker, cutting off 1 foot better, and bursting through tackles, and that he'd never felt so sharp, quick, and strong. If you're in pain and it's preventing you from doing what you love to do, and you'd like to achieve great results like Billy, just go to www.bodycheck.co.uk. That's bodychek.co.uk to request your consultation. Now, back to the podcast. So,
because everyone's different.
So in terms of using for someone that's in chronic pain now versus someone that's using it to optimize recovery, I'm guessing the main difference is that, if you've got, let's say it's a painful knee, you're really going to just really be focused on the knee. You're going to treat your knee. Whereas if it's more for recovery, you're probably going to aim predominantly at the muscles and the joints that you're working, whether it's sport or gym or whatever. That's going to be the main difference.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because to this date, I haven't been, it hasn't been argued that this is the world's #1 portable red light therapy device. So portability means it has to be quite small, right? It has to be something you can throw in your gym bag. Like even this panel, because it's flexible, which is very, very key when it comes to targeting, areas, right? If you have a flexible panel like this, it can mold around muscles and joints, right? Which means that as light travels in a straight line, you're sort of maximizing the amount of therapy you're getting to that affected area. Whereas if you have a device that is like a mirror, right? A lot of the light will bounce off the sides of it. It's hard. You're not actually getting the maximum amount of treatment. But it being portable means it can't be too big, right? So that's about the biggest we can go and still be in portable category. But then, so portability, and then obviously that means it's targeted light therapy, right? People sort of say, hey, I have what about the saunas or the beds? I'm like, wow, if you have those, you're sorted, right? It's just every time you wake up, jump in that bed. Every time you come back from, your workout or your run or whatever, just jump in that bed. But most people don't have that. They don't have the large device. Obviously, the more cells are being energized at the same time, the feeling is definitely different, right? You feel a lot better, right? And obviously more cellular energy means that obviously recovery is a lot faster. But for something that is portable, right? It means it's going to be more targeted. So where's the pain? Let's go and focus on that pain. You got to get on your skin. No clothes, like if you're using black clothes, that's obviously not going to be good. You're not going to get much light through there. If it's a very thin, like almost a see-through, silky like material, it might be okay, but it's best to always go skin, right? That's why the panel is silicone, because there's going to be sweat. But yeah, definitely it's got to be as targeted as possible. So, for getting the overall feeling of being energized and optimized, you won't get that with this. You get that with that sauna. You leave the sauna and you'll be like, whoa, let's go for a run, right? Whereas with this, you're going to have to be moving it around in order to get that same energized overall, holistic, energized feeling. But this is more like that particular pain, that particular area is painful, target it there. Or I'm about to go train this area. I'm about to go train my legs. So let me put it on my legs. I finished training legs. So now I'll put it on my legs. That's sort of the behavior of how the LumaFlex Body Pro works with your average person.
Interesting. Now, one of the areas that I work in quite a lot is I help people with skin conditions. So particularly acne and eczema, sometimes psoriasis as well. What can you say about helping those conditions with red light?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that that's kind of like what's the last 10 years. That's what red light therapy has been helping, with. It's been in skin, been in beauty for actually like over a decade. And it's funny because, the amount of red light therapy products that are inside the beauty industry is I mean, it's enormous. It's more than any other industry. Definitely. There's like the variations of masks or the little devices that you can put on your skin to target pimples and all of that. It's countless numbers of products out there. But that's something like we as men, we're in fitness. We don't quite see the transfer over to fitness and how it can help, but it's been going on for so long. And even, my wife, all her friends, long before I had my, that experience with my knee, they were all on red light therapy for beauty, right? But I was just, you don't make the connection. It's just like, oh, it's a beauty thing. It's sort of, okay, it's for skin, right? Because that's kind of, there's also probably the most amount of clinical studies, FDA cleared studies are all on skin about how like it can help your skin. But sad to say, this device doesn't have those, the masks that you see with the eyeballs and you put it through. Like I've done it sometimes. I just put it on and I'm like, it doesn't feel, you got to have the mask, right? With the eyeballs, right?
Well, obviously eczema and psoriasis, it's not necessarily on the face. Well, even acne, because I suffered with acne for 18 years and it used to cover my chest and my upper back as well. It wasn't just my face. So, and eczema can, it's normally the insides of the elbows, the backs of the knees, and it can be head to toe in some people.
Anywhere, huh?
Yeah. So, so your device isn't particularly specific to skin conditions, but obviously if you've got a skin condition and you had that product, you could use it on your skin.
That's right. Yeah. It's one of those things when you're building a product, you're deciding what your audience is. Your audience doesn't know that red light can be used for pretty much anything. You have to, like, I remember hearing, from my partner about a product that was in Walgreens. And it was a product, the way it was packaged, it was a red light therapy product. The way it was packaged was it can do everything. It can do this, it can do this, it can do this, and da-da-da. And it didn't sell. But then they were like, let's get that same product. Let's change the packaging and say for knee, like knee injury, knee pain, and then sold like hotcakes. Right. So it's kind of like, that's how it is, in the world where you kind of have to, okay, if we're gonna create a product for, the fitness enthusiast, for the, the regular gym goer, for the active person, right? The person that cares about their health, a human performance, interested human being. We have to package it so it doesn't look too medical, doesn't look too beauty. It has to look sort of like similar to a Theragun, similar to a foam roller, similar to some Nike gadget or wearable. It has to kind of like have that kind of look, that feel, that vibe, because then we're communicating it to them, right? But in the end, exactly right. You could use this for anything, right?
Yeah. So that,
I mean, even for hair loss, even for hair loss, right? They say that, right? Huge
sold.
clinical studies.
I'm sold.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw recently a full-on like Iron Man mask that is for red light therapy. It wires up and you sit into it and it helps your hair. It's like, wow. Or you could just strap this on your head. You could try that. You would just look ridiculous.
I mean, the other thing that springs to mind, or the condition that springs to mind, is fibromyalgia.
What's that?
Fibromyalgia is a condition where generally people are in pain from head to toe.
Oh, okay.
There's another condition called polymyalgia, which is an autoimmune. So it's very similar, but the causes are slightly differently. But polymyalgia is an autoimmune condition, but people are basically in pain pretty much all the time. So again, I imagine that could potentially be very helpful for people with fibromyalgia as well.
Yes. Can you imagine? And what would they do? Just be on painkillers the whole time, right?
A lot of people, they often get put on a type of chemotherapy called methotrexate.
Oh,
because what it does is their joints are really painful quite often. It's a bit like there's another condition called psoriatic arthritis. Psoriatic arthritis, fibromyalgia, polymyalgia, they're all relatively similar. I know all this because there's people in my family with those conditions, so I'm quite familiar with it. And yeah, painkillers, methotrexate. You know, when you start taking things like that, you know there are side effects, and you know.
Yes.
And
wow, that's really rough. Yeah, that's really feel for those people.
You know, compared to something like red light therapy, which has practically no side effects, and if there are side effects, they're probably positive ones rather than negative ones anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, I wonder there must be some research into that. It'd be quite interesting to look that up, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There must be some clinical study showing some kind of benefit, because that would be. I've actually got a meeting set up with the U.S. Pain Foundation. It's a foundation and this is something I'll bring up for them. Thanks for that, because it's a good, something that I want to sort of align with. What are they doing? How can I contribute? I mean, we have a lot of devices that we could send to patients like this. If someone is experiencing this kind of level of pain, definitely there's things we could do to make sure that they have enough devices to appease it at least,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible, terrible condition. People's quality of life is absolutely ruined.
That's right.
I mean, I've never had clients with fibromyalgia, but as I say, I've got family members. I think it's a slightly genetic thing in our family. But it's normally women. It's normally women that suffer from fibromyalgia. So it seems to be females in my family. Not all of them, but some of them tend to suffer from fibromyalgia.
Yikes!
But I mean,
you should. Put your email address in your. I'll send you a unit. I think I should get you. Let me send you a unit so that you could. Let me just get one to you, and then you could forget researching whether or not it works or not. Let's just try it. Just get it in your hands and give it a go, right?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking as well that I guess the main condition I deal with, probably more than any other in terms of chronic pain, is lower back pain, and that's something that I've been helping people with for 22 years now. And most of my listeners will know my story because I did a whole episode on it. But 10 years ago, I had ruptured my L4-5 and L5-S1 discs in my lumbar spine. Now, one thing that we know about lumbar discs is they don't have hardly any blood supply. So they are one of the slowest recovering tissues in the human body. So my recovery was 22 months. And I know what I'm doing. Wow. I do it for a living. I help other people rehabilitate their lumbar discs. And it took 22 months to rehabilitate. So I think you know what question I'm thinking in my own head. It's like, if I could have added that to what else I was already doing, how quickly might have that recovery have occurred?
That's right. What did you do though? What was it? Was it like an accident, a
No,
fall, or
so again, I explain it all in the episode, but so a lot of tissues in the body, when they're damaged, it's what's called cumulative microtrauma. So there's little tiny traumas that happen over time, and if they don't recover, that over time, as you keep traumatizing them, you imagine if you tore a little, you've had a piece of A4 paper and you put a little tear in it. It's not a big deal, but if every day you pulled it on either end, that tear is going to get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and then eventually the whole thing's going to go, right?
yes,
That's what happens with most chronic injuries. So, I was talking about, I've got a little bit of tennis elbow, I've got a little bit of a sore shoulder, and that's just overuse from playing tennis, right?
That's
I could probably do a little bit more of a mobile thoracic spine. That would probably help my shoulder a little bit. But yeah, it's just micro trauma over time. And there was a number of, confounding factors that led up to that.
nice.
But, to take 2 years out of playing tennis was pretty rough,
Yes.
So yeah, it'd be quite interesting if you could wind the clock back and we could say, right, let's add in some red light therapy to the treatment protocol and see how long it takes to recover. So
yes.
yeah, that'd be interesting. The other thing I was thinking, again, because what made me think of this was, again, my own injury. And when it first happened, I went to my doctor and said, look, I want a referral. I want to get an MRI scan on my lumbar spine. I just want to make sure that the injury is what I think it is. Turns out it was. And whilst I was in there, my doctor said to me, I'm going to write you a prescription for painkillers and anti-inflammatories. And I said, don't bother. I'm not going to take them. I said, thanks anyway, but I won't be taking them. And he said, well, why not? And I said, well, I've got damaged tissues in my body. I want to feel the pain, because if I move into a position that's causing more of a problem and you're masking the pain, it's going to cause more damage. Well, I thought it was the disc right from the beginning. I said, if it is the discs that are damaged and I move into a position that's going to cause more damage, I want to know about it. I don't want to be masking the pain.
Yes.
But obviously, when you're in pain, the other thing that does is it inhibits the slow twitch muscle fibers, and it's the slow twitch muscle fibers that stabilize the joints, right?
Okay.
So again, it's just setting off lots of questions in my own head in terms of, because a lot of people, they need pain relief. I'm someone, I'll just live with it, right? If I've got a headache, I'll just live with the headache, right? And I'll think, maybe I haven't drunk enough water, or maybe my neck's out of alignment, or maybe I've sat in poor posture today, or whatever. And I won't take a painkiller. I won't do it. But again, it might potentially be an option to help people get out of pain that are in that kind of acute stage of injury as well.
That's right.
Yeah, I've just got lots and lots of questions. I could probably speak to you all day about it.
Yeah, I would love for you to get a unit and try it out, because you are the kind of person that would sort of self-study, like you're the one that would sort of observe it day to day and kind of consider, think about it. So yeah, if you send me your address and like some contact number, I would love to get one out there. We could get it to you very, very quick. We got a good logistics.
Great stuff.
Yeah, that's a crazy story too. With your back so you took 2 years off playing tennis.
Yeah.
So that was the main thing you had to stop doing, because tennis is a very what do they call it? It's the jarring sport.
Impacts, yeah.
Because you're going this way, then you're turning this way, then you're turning this way. So you're your joints are always that. I heard that's the big injury risks
There's a lot of rotational forces in tennis. So what's quite interesting is, most people go to the gym and they exercise in the sagittal plane, right? You squats,
yes,
deadlifts, etc. Right? Well, most injuries occur in the transverse and the frontal plane. Well, tennis is predominantly transverse and frontal plane. You very rarely move in the sagittal plane playing tennis. Occasionally, you might sprint forwards for the ball, but that's not that common. Even if someone hits a short ball and you're going to run around it to hit the ball, you're still going sideways. You're not running forwards.
Yes.
So the fact that most injuries occur in those planes, and tennis is predominantly in those planes, certainly for people that play to any kind of level and they're putting their body through quite a lot of stress, it's really setting them up for injury. And that's, again, you won't be aware, I wrote a book called The Tennis Biomechanics Manual to help people train to minimize the chances of injury and to maximize performance.
Wow. Yeah, because it's such a jarring sport. It's something that, like, sure, if you want to play, it will be fun, but just be prepared that there is a lot of injury risk with that particular sport. You have to be really.
If you think about it from this way, imagine someone's just hit a ball out to your backhand out wide, and now they've hit one to your forehand out wide, right? So you're sprinting full speed, you've got your full body weight going in one direction, all of a sudden it has to stop very quickly. Just think of the stresses going through the joint, especially like in the knee, for instance, right? And then, then you're likely to hit the ball with rotation. And then if they hit the ball back to your backhand again, you've got to do that all over again, right?
Yeah.
Do that for 2 to 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people, they don't really, when they think of tennis, they think of people just patting the ball over the net, right? But actually it's brutal. If you play tennis properly, it's a brutal sport. But that's part of why I love it, right? I love the running around. You know, 20 years ago, I probably had a choice of taking up tennis or golf. For me, it was an easy answer because you have to run around playing tennis. You don't run around playing golf.
That's right. Tennis is a lot more intense, right? It's a lot more aggressive. Not just physically, like on your own body, but also with your teammate, right? You are slamming that ball so hard to try to get that, your opponent.
I mean, golf's intensive when you're actually hitting the ball.
Yeah,
but you don't hit the ball very often. I mean, if you play golf for, I don't know how long a round takes, let's say it's 4 hours to do a round of golf, you're probably actually playing golf for about 20 seconds. In terms of swinging the club back and then impact to follow through, you're probably not playing for more than 20 seconds in 4 hours.
That's right.
In tennis, if you play tennis for 2 hours, you're probably running around for about 20 minutes, right? Full on. So, there's a big difference. But golf would be another sport I could, again, see a lot of benefit for red light therapy as well. Again, right. Golf is elbow, tennis elbow. There's lots of lower back injuries, knee injuries in golf. Yeah, so that would definitely be another arena that I think could definitely benefit as well.
Could definitely benefit. That's right. The lower back, its impact. So it's like there's issues to your knee, right? Both sports are you're right-handed. Yeah. You're going to have those same back, knee, shoulder, right? You're going to always have those issues in those same areas.
Definitely. Well, John, this has been a really, really interesting conversation. I know we could probably talk for hours, but what's next for you?
So before the year is done, I did want, I do have a trip to Europe. I do have a trip to Dubai, to explore those markets, but we're obviously very, very aggressive on the US market. There's a few shows and media events that I'm going to go to. The eventual goal with the LumaFlex brand is to be the brand that mainstreams red light therapy. We want to be the thing that takes this treatment and makes it common, that everyone knows about it, everybody has access to it. It's not just for the hippies or the elite athletes. It's for everyone. It's kind of like my personal mission that I'm hoping that we can achieve. And then obviously the fuel to be able to get that done is, hearing stories like you said about people with serious pain conditions and how, they're being pushed pharma, and actually there are options that are natural, non-invasive, that there's no danger to having this treatment and using this treatment. And it's something that we were designed and we deserve, right, as human beings. So this is kind of the fuel internally as a company that we use to push this forward.
Awesome.
Yeah, and make it big, right?
Awesome. John, thanks again. As I say, I really, really enjoyed this conversation, and I'll definitely try out your products and give you some feedback.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Great stuff. So that's all from John and me for this week. But don't forget, you can join me same time, same place next week on the Radical Health Rebel podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to give the show a rating and a review, and I'll see you next time.